Hello, this is Heather, aka Planner Mumsy. Join me as we go through my planning process for each week. Stay tuned. Hello, everyone. I thought I would do kind of an impromptu voiceover. Let's take a look at how my brain works with planning. My planning style actually has become pretty simple, to be completely honest. I really just use these two planners. The smaller brown one currently is my on the go, and the pink one is kind of like my EDC that will stay on my desk all the time. Basically, I always have to make sure that both of these are up to date. If I take my on the go and I'm at a doctor's appointment, I need to make sure that I'm transferring that into my larger planner. This is just how my brain works. I really need to have all of my appointments in multiple places, or it is very easy for me to miss my appointments. So, what you see me doing here is basically just transferring over some of the appointments. Also, I do tend to backfill just to make sure that I have appointments that I may not have put in my main planner in there, just so that I have them, and it's basically just a reference for me. So right now, that's all I'm doing is just kind of going through, making sure all my appointments jive for February, March, and April. We are still currently in February, but I do have a lot of appointments coming up ahead. As I had mentioned in one of my past videos, I had an accident on the farm and I tore what is called my rhomboid minor muscle. And that muscle wraps all the way down your arm, around your chest. It's in your shoulder, it goes up your neck. Yeah, it has been a time because I have literally, first of all, it probably took about 6 weeks to diagnose. Cutting off from my story really quick, there I was just showing you. I also get appointments on my phone for different things, and that was a hair appointment that I need to make sure I put in for April. So I literally will have my on the go with appointments, I have my main planner with appointments, and my phone with appointments. So I need to make sure that all three are syncing up at all times because, again, my brain does not work well if I don't have it in all the places. But getting back to my story, yes, it took about 6 weeks for my actual diagnosis of that muscle being torn because, as you get older and you get to be my age, you go through perimenopause, and with that, you have musculature soreness and all that. So we took a while just because we were making sure that it wasn't, going to just quickly heal on its own. So I have lots of all that to say. I have lots of doctor's appointments, lots of therapies and such to just try and get that back going. Now, what I'm doing here is I have updated all of my monthlies. Now, I have pre-planned all of my weeklies in this journey planner. And so now I'm going through my weeklies. You can see in that top section there that I leave a space to put my weekly overview appointments. This is just what works really well for me. It just is like an overview snapshot. I can look really quick when I turn the week and see my appointments without needing to constantly run back to my monthlies. And here I'm using my blotter just to make sure that my ink does not bleed to the other pages as I flip my pages. And I'm just making sure that all of my weeklies are updated. So literally, my brain works. It's got to be in my on the go monthlies. It's got to be in my everyday carry monthlies. It's got to be in my everyday carry weeklies. I don't put everything onto my phone because I usually have my on the go planner with me all the time. But making sure that all of these appointments are in all these different places just helps my brain with processing and just gives me that opportunity to not end up missing out on appointments because, y'all, before I really got heavily into planning, I was a mess. I either would show up late for appointments or I would miss them altogether, and it's really frustrating. So, yeah, that's definitely something I wanted to make sure didn't continue to happen. Here I am just using the free space that I leave myself on the left-hand side of the planner to jot down things that are important for me to remember. I had gotten a cortisone shot. Unfortunately, I ended up reacting to that. That's just how my thyroid works. But I wanted to make sure that I noted it because it is something that I will transfer into my on the go when I have my next appointment with my doctor. It's something that we can discuss. We need to basically weigh the is it worth having the reaction for basically decreasing swelling. Yeah, it is what it is. Then I'm also on the right hand side, you can see that I have to-do lists, and in the to-do lists I basically try to break them down day by day and make sure that I'm getting most of what is on these to-do lists done throughout the week, and just takes me a while to really process, okay, what do I need to get done on what days, so on and so forth. It's a process. And for me, to-do lists are really what works when it comes to my planner. It just kind of helps to keep me on track. Then in the back pages, I started using the back pages for kind of like daily journaling, and then it started falling off a little bit. So, what I'm doing here is I decided I had a day that I didn't use, and basically the day that it was. So, I decided to go ahead and plot out my raised bed system. My husband was graciously willing to make me some new raised flower beds that I can use for planting like more herbs and stuff. I'm definitely kind of going down more of that naturopathic route versus allopathic medicine that I was involved in for 25 years. It's just really where I feel like the Lord is leading me right now. So here I am drawing out my raised bed system, and basically this is my decision. In the back pages, sometimes I might need to use them as a brain dump to process out a project or what have you. Sometimes I'm going to use it as literally just like a daily overview type journal. And you're not gonna like in that daily overview journal, I might say some things that are more like journally, meaning I'm processing something out. But for the most part, it's just like, you know, I went grocery shopping today. It costs $300, just kind of like things that I can look back on and be like, "Oh, okay, when did such and such happen?" And I can go back and look on those pages to just kind of figure that stuff out. And so I'll use a regular journal for journaling completely separate versus putting that kind of stuff in here. So I've really just decided to not limit myself on what I use these pages for, because in the past, like when I used Hobonichis, I would hoard those back pages like crazy and I wouldn't use them because I was just like, oh, what if I run out and, whatever. And yeah, I just basically had to really say to myself, no, just use the pages for whatever you need to use the pages for and don't worry about it. And so that's where I'm at with this now, but it definitely is still a struggle because I really want to have like my brain really wants to have a specific purpose for these back pages. And I just have to tell myself, no, we're just going to use it for what we need. So here I'm basically drawing out the two raised beds I've already drawn are ones that are existent, and then the ones I'm drawing now are the new ones that he is making for me. This was like my Valentine's gift, you know. I chuckle. Some women want chocolates, some women want roses. Just give me raised beds so I can grow more of my own stuff. So he's basically making two of them for me, and I'm kind of drawing them out. And the reason why I do this is, again, it's a planning thing where I basically can plan out what will be planted in each part of each raised bed, and then I have an exact idea later on where everything is. Because, you know, when they start growing, even if you have little labels and stuff, the labels can accidentally get moved, and then you're like, what is this that's growing right here? Especially with the herbs, because there's so many that look very similar as they're little and they start growing. So this is just going to help me to have as a reference. And then I decide to just kind of come up with, okay, this is like a little tool to help me remember. My brain's not working right. It's basically just something to help me remember exactly what each thing is. So I use X for one thing, I use Y for another, I use O for another, and I'll just kind of continue on that theme. I'll just use a letter for a specific plant that I'm planting, and then I will put it, you know, label it down in this little tool for myself in order to just quickly say, okay, that is what that was, and then I know exactly what it is, where I planted it. I'm also going to use the blank page to just jot down the days that certain seeds in this particular raised bed system that I have here, because I have multiple raised bed systems. I'm gonna just jot down the dates of when certain things were planted. Then I'll have an idea of a key. A key is exactly what I was trying to think of earlier. I will have a key that has all of the letters. And so then I'll know the dates when everything was planted, and I'll just be like, okay, I planted this on this day, and yes, it looks like it's growing, or no, it needs to be replanted. It's just kind of, you know, a tool for planning for me to remember exactly what I put in which raised bed. And yeah, it works out well. So I am excited to just push myself through and use these pages as I need. Then just kind of looking at the front, I'm just kind of showing you there that I have used some of the pages for journaling, just not loads, just kind of here and there. Some pages are completely blank like these, and then some just have partial writing on them, but I'm just not limiting myself anymore to that. On the back here, I have this cute little scripture card that I like keeping, and then I have this little, it's not really a paper, but it's basically just a little guide for when my cows were bred, when my calves were born, just so I can keep track of that and have it handy so I'm not digging through my planner for that information. And then here I am looking at this page. This is the page that I use to update my Instagram and my posts for YouTube. I do, as an ambassador for Ferris Wheel Press, need to post 4 times a month across both platforms. And I get into my Instagram and realize I haven't posted anything for the month of February. Oops, yeah, better get going on that. So there's really nothing for me to update here, but this is something that I do update regularly in my planner, and that's what I use this particular page for. So basically, I'm just kind of figuring out, okay, I have all these dates already logged, and there's really nothing else for me to post. So yeah, that's that. Basically, that is it, y'all. There's really not a whole lot else that I do as far as planning in my planner. I have not finished my stuff for my goal tracking yet. Hopefully, I'll get my act together and get that done. I also have these other pages that I have not figured out what I'm going to do with them yet. Yeah, pretty simple. My planning process is not complicated. I found keeping it simple is the best way for me to stay on track with the things that I need to do. If you guys have any questions, feel free to comment down below, like, and subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next video. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank y'all. Bye.